Hi everyone who are watching this on C3A's Facebook page. Thank you for tuning in to today's session, Sleep and Screen Time by Active Health. My name is Christabelle and I'm one of the Active Health coaches with Sports Singapore. With me, I have my fellow coach, Mason, who will be joining us later on. This session is specially brought to you by Sports Singapore as part of the National Silver Academy e-Nugget series. Did you manage to catch our first e-Nugget session on nutrition for seniors with Coach Shamila? If you have not done so, don't worry. You may always watch it later on C3A's Facebook page after this session. Okay, for those of you who are first time with us, let me just briefly begin by sharing an introduction about Active Health. Active Health is a social movement by Sports Singapore under the umbrella of Active SG that aims to empower individuals like you to take ownership of your own health and wellness. We take a holistic approach by targeting health in 4 main domains: physical activity, screen time, sleep, and of course, nutrition. And today we'll be focusing on sleep and screen time. We'll share with you some information as well as some active health habits to help you to be more aware of your lifestyle and to choose healthier behaviors during this period and beyond. Okay, so there'll be a lot of information coming your way. If you can, grab a piece of paper and a pen or any other device so that you can take down some notes. If during the course of this session, you have some questions regarding sleep and nutrition, do type them down in the Facebook comments. Our moderator will kindly help us to collate all the questions and we will answer them one by one during the Q&A segment, okay? So are you ready? Let's begin. So I'm going to start with a topic on screen time. Living in Singapore, it's very common to find multiple screens at home, be it a smartphone, television, electronic devices, such as your laptop and your iPad. Now, I just want you to take a look around your house. How many screens can you spot around your house? Okay, you count your TV in, your handphone, your laptop, anything, okay? There is a screen, even if you're not using it right now. Okay, I personally own 3 screens right in front of me. Okay, your 2 laptops, 1 handphone, and I'm quite embarrassed to say in this workspace that I'm in right now, I have 10 screens, at least 10 screens staring at me. How about yourself? Technology has become an integrated part of our life and has benefited us in many ways. However, excessive screen time is harmful and directly affects the other domains of health. How many of you will relate to the following behaviors? 1, watching your screens when you're stuffing your food with mouth. Your mouth with food. Okay, so maybe you're watching TV and then you're just like stuffing your mouth, okay, with your lunch or dinner. Or number 2, using your phones or you're watching your TV show just before bedtime. Okay, I know my grandma does that a lot. Number 3, tuning to your screens, either iPad, phone, TV, when you got nothing to do in the day or when you find it difficult to fall asleep at night. Okay, because maybe you can't go out nowadays. Maybe you just stay home and you just turn on your TV or your WhatsApp or Facebook. Or lastly, maybe you're unknowingly sitting or lying down for prolonged periods staring at your screen. Okay, just watching your drama show, it will take maybe an hour already. That's called prolonged sitting period or sedentary pattern. A study by AIA has shown that Singaporeans actually spend an average of 3.7 hours on recreational screen time. Okay, that means screens that you use outside of work purposes. All right. You might have children or grandchildren at home, and maybe you used to tell them, don't use stop watching your TV, stop using your phone. But nowadays, it seems that seniors like you are not spared, and you might be spending even more time on such recreational screens. According to a 2017 study by Pew Research Center, Americans aged 60 and above spend 4.3 hours in front of screens daily. What about yourself? How do you fare? Do you think you spend more or less? Attending this e-Nugget series shows me that you're pretty tech savvy. You probably have some form of laptop or handphone, and of course, a TV at home, right? Seniors, you tend to have more leisure time because of you are retired, or maybe you might be staying at home alone. and you might turn to screens, maybe out of loneliness or some isolation. Can you now make a quick mental count on how much recreational screen time do you consume on a daily basis? Okay, like I said, a hint, one drama show is 1 hour. Okay, so maybe you watch one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one at night. That's already 3 hours. Okay, so although there's no recommended amount of screen time, using less is of course always ideal because it frees up your time, your attention for more important activities and also relationships. One direct consequence of excessive screen time is impaired sleep duration and quality. Let me share more on the mechanism later. So now we'll move on to sleep, the topic on sleep. Have you heard of such saying? Sleep is for the weak, or maybe even older adults don't need to sleep as much. Sadly, I want to tell you that these sayings are fake news. These sayings actually tend to disregard the importance of sleep as well as the need to change our current lifestyle to better our sleep. In fact, having chronic poor sleep will increase your risk of heart diseases, hypertension, stroke, and diabetes. Again, in 2017, a study by Sing Health Polyclinics revealed that 44% of Singaporeans are chronically sleep deprived on weekdays. They only clock about an average of 6.5 hours per night. Again, in 2017, a Fitbit sleep study shows that seniors sleep the least. Right? Their sleep quality is worsened by medical problems, medications that affect their sleep, pain, and illnesses. Anxiety and also depression are the frequent causes of insomnia among seniors. And these individuals are likely to sleep less than 6 hours each night. Many of us are unaware that our actions in the day will impact our nighttime sleep. We may view sleep in isolation or even accept poor sleep as part of aging. But if you do wake up repeatedly throughout the night, or you feel lethargic in the day, even after sleeping for more than 7 hours, you have had poor quality sleep. Okay, 7 to 9 hours is recommended for adults, but older adults aged 65 and above should also be getting 7 to 8 hours. Why? Because getting sufficient good quality sleep is crucial as it improves your memory and cognition, it improves your attention and your reaction time to reduce your risk of fall, as well as it helps to manage your weight, refresh your immune system, which will then prevent diseases. Okay, so I've talked about screen time, I've talked about sleep. What can you actually practically do to reduce screen time and to improve on your sleep? Now I'm going to share 4 simple active health habits that you might want to adopt. Are you ready? Okay, let's start with habit number 1. Habit 1, take 30-minute screen break during the day. This can help you to reduce the sedentary patterns as well as prevent physical and cognitive decline. If you can just perform 30 minutes of physical activity during the day, you will also benefit from better sleep at night because you have tired yourself out. Okay, especially those of you who have the habit of falling asleep when you're watching your TV show, I think you should try this habit, okay, so that you will avoid taking naps in the afternoon and build up your sleep drive for better sleep at night. If you can't do 30 minutes one shot, you can also always break it up in 10 minutes of bouts of 10 minutes of physical activity, okay? Later on, maybe we'll show you some exercises that you can incorporate that during your commercial break or maybe to break as breaks during your TV show, okay? Habit 2, be screen-free 30 minutes before bed. Avoiding screens 30 minutes before bed will limit exposure to blue light that is emitted by your screen. This blue light actually impairs your production of sleep hormone called melatonin, all right? So what you can do, maybe you want to perform activities such as stretching or listening to calming music to put your body in a better place for rest and recovery. Habit number 3, avoid consuming caffeine 6 hours before bedtime. All right, let's be honest here. What time usually is your last intake of caffeine? So caffeine can come in the form of your coffee, your tea, maybe even in Milo, okay? So if you just had your coffee at 2 p.m., add 6 hours to that, which means 8 p.m., the amount of caffeine in your body is still half. Okay, that means it takes another 6 more hours, that will give you, I can't think right now. There's like maybe in midnight, the amount of caffeine in your body is still 1/4. So it takes really long to flush out this stimulant. Caffeine is this stimulant that keeps your body awake and alert. Okay. Some of you, I know you're gonna say this. I drink coffee, I drink tea at night, I still can sleep. Okay. Caffeine doesn't affect me. Well, it's because there are mechanisms that help you to sleep, not just one. Okay. So even if you take caffeine, you may be able to sleep, but I assure you, if you remove caffeine late into the day, your sleep quality will actually be improved. Okay, try that if you don't believe me. And lastly, habit 4. Be in bed at least 7.5 hours before the time you wake up. Okay, so as you age, you will surely experience waking up earlier. That is because your body clock has been shifted. Okay, so you also need to shift your bedtime so that you can get enough sleep, 7 to 8 hours a night. All right. However, I know our body clock is our body's natural routine. It will take time to change any routine. So what you can do is just start by heading to bed maybe 15 minutes earlier than your usual time, and then slowly adjust accordingly. Okay, so make sure the changes are subtle. Your body doesn't know that you're making a change, right? And then slowly get your body into it. Coach Mason will later on guide us on how to work this out, so stay tuned. All right. Right now here, I've shared 4 habits that you can adopt to improve your health. I would like to release a Facebook poll, and perhaps you can take 1 minute to think. What is one habit here that you like to commit for this week? If you are staying with someone else, you're watching this with someone else, do try to discuss together which is a habit we can both do it together so that we'll be more successful, right, with that social support. So I'll give you 1 minute to look through the 4 habits here. First habit, I will take 30 minutes screen break during the day. Habit 2, I'll be screen-free 30 minutes before bed. Habit 3, I will not consume caffeine a minimum of 6 hours before bed. And the last one, I will be in bed with my eyes closed at least 7.5 hours before I need to wake up. All right, so here are some suggested habits. But if you have thought of a new habit that you should do commit to it. Okay, so I'll give you 1 minute. Have a think through and commit to the habit for this week. Right, while you're thinking, maybe I'll share about myself personally. I'm committing to habit 2, or have been trying to commit to habit 2, being screen-free for 30 minutes before bed. Okay, so maybe sharing with you one trick that I do is to turn on the night shift mode on my phone. All right, so night shift, if you are using iPhone, or I'm sure other phones does it too, it helps to eliminate some blue light from your screen. And when my phone turns a bit yellowish at 11 o'clock, because I set it at 11, that's a visual cue for me to put aside my phone and do something else screen-free. Okay, so if you are going to attempt that habit, you may want to have another hack, okay, like this to help you. It could be maybe setting a reminder, alarm clock to put aside your phone. Okay. All right, let's see what most of you would like to do this week. Okay, so most of you are on board with me. You say you like to try habit 2 as well. So if you have not been doing it at all, 30 minutes can be quite challenging. It's like almost missing half of your show, half of your drama TV show, right? So maybe you want to try just 5 minutes, and then slowly extend to 30 minutes if you can. Okay. All right. So you have heard a lot from me, some information, some active health habits, as well as some tricks on how to make the habit more successful. Now, I'll invite my fellow active health coach Mason into this space, and he will lead us in some activities so you can get standing, you can follow him in some movements. So let's welcome him.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you have a good lunch. Okay, my name is Mason. I'll take you through this next part on the activities that we can actually use or get involved in to help get better sleep each night. Okay, so Christabelle has shared a few habits. Okay, also shared some tips and also some statistics about how sleep and screen time comes into play and how it affects our overall health and wellness. Okay, so when it comes to this thing about sleep, we try to squeeze a lot into a day, okay, and then whatever hours we have left at night, we might then try to go to sleep. Okay, so when you try to pack too much into the day and then too much just before you sleep, okay, chances are you'll probably still be very alert and active. Okay, you might find it quite hard to actually tune out certain things or thoughts, okay, before you can then slowly unwind and get ready for bed. Okay, so when it comes to planning your day, sleep has also to be part of that plan. Okay, it cannot be left alone. What you do in the entire day affects your sleep at night, like Christabelle has mentioned. So to get us started, okay, the first activity that I would actually want to try and do together with you, if you've got your pen and paper ready, all right, you can try and go through these steps with me. I'm going to take you through what we call a sleep diary. Okay, many versions of this are out there, different associations may have come up different variations of it, but I'm going to focus on a few key points, all right, as we go through this sleep diary to help us understand a little bit more, okay, on what goes through the day. And then we can potentially identify some of the barriers that may be affecting our quality of sleep or our ability to actually fall asleep each night from there. Okay, so the first one that you want to try and write down each day is to find out, okay, what time did you go to bed last night? Now, when I talk about going to bed last night, I don't mean watching your favorite dramas on your phone, okay, in bed. So let's say you watch a drama at 10 o'clock, you say, okay, I went to bed at 10. All right, we're talking about the time that you actually try to get your stuff out of the way, ready to go to sleep from there. All right, that might end up being a lot later than 10 p.m. for most of us who are actually glued to our screens. Okay, so then you can write that down. All right, the next one is, what time did you wake up today? All right, it could be that you set your alarm for work. It could be that you woke up naturally, all right, and then you just went on with your day. Okay, whatever the timing is, you want to put that down. All right, and then from these two first questions that I've got, you can identify and work out, okay, how many hours you were asleep or rather in bed for. Okay, there's no perfect science to say exactly how many minutes and seconds you were asleep, but it gives you a rough gauge to understand where you are at the moment. All right, from there, the next question is to look at how did you fall asleep? Was it quite easily the minute your head hit the pillow, within 30 seconds you were knocked out? Okay, or was it that you took a little bit of time, maybe 5 to 10 minutes before you finally settled and then fall asleep? Or did it take you quite a while, more than 20 minutes, okay, to actually doze off from there? Or after 20 minutes, you still find yourself struggling, okay, tossing and turning. All right, these things happen. We're not saying that everybody will have the best sleep every single night. Okay, many things come into play, but we want to know, right, when these things happen at night, okay, what happened in that day that actually potentially may have caused this event at night from there. Okay, so you've got fell asleep easily after some time or with some difficulty. Okay, the next one is, what was your sleep disturbed by? All right, so there are many things. The environment plays a huge part. It could be the room temperature. Okay, maybe some of us do sleep with the air conditioning, some don't. Okay, maybe some nights it may be a bit cooler if you don't have air conditioning, if you're just relying on the fan, it can be rain or whatsoever. Was it the noise? Okay, because certain parts in the night, I know just below my block, okay, there's a supermarket nearby. Okay, the trucks come in at about 5 p.m. to 6 and they start unpacking and unloading. So you can hear everything that goes on from there if my window is right open. All right, so that actually affects my sleep. Or it could be light, right? Maybe now, because in Singapore, we have almost 100% light pollution. Okay, it's very well lit, right, in Singapore. And if you have your flat right along the corridor, lights are going to start creeping in if you don't have curtains to actually block out these lights. So is it that the light could be affecting your sleep, or could it be notifications from your phone, right? Your phone starts vibrating at night and you just get woken up by these messages. Okay, so you want to identify these different things. Could it be you also woke up to go to the toilet, all right, multiple times at night? Or you just slept at maybe say 10 or 11 o'clock and you just keep waking up every 2 to 3 hours from there. Okay, start to identify these things. Now, you don't have to think too much about it. Just write down, okay, reflectively what happened through the night, if you can, the next morning. Okay, then we talk about caffeine. So Christabelle mentioned 6 hours of half-life when it comes to consumption of caffeine. Okay, so this is quite critical because we want to look at what time did we actually consume our daily caffeine intake if you do consume any. It can be coffee or your tea. Okay, is it in the morning, the afternoon, in the evening? Even better if you can write down the timings of your drinks from there. All right, and sometimes we have different orders. Maybe in the morning we go for something, let's say a bit stronger. Then closer to the evening, we start to taper off maybe. So you could maybe start the day with coffee and the day with tea. All these play a part from there. And then the last one is when you woke up, how did you feel? Okay, a lot of us maybe wake up feeling, oh, I need another 2 hours. Okay, maybe I want to snooze my alarm a few more times. I don't want to get out of bed. Okay, some say, oh, I'm relatively okay. That was not too bad. I can start the day, but probably I still need some coffee. Okay, or you woke up feeling really good and you're ready to go and to start your day with all the different activities that you've got planned out from there. Okay, so these are some questions to guide you through as you are going through this diary each day. So what happens is it helps to provide a review, okay, of what goes on through the day, and then we can identify which areas we might want to start working on. So your habits earlier could be a good way to get started, but if you start to identify certain points or certain barriers that come in through this sleep diary exercise, that can help you focus and target a little bit more when it comes to employing some strategies that can help you get better sleep each night. Okay, all right, so give you some time to think it through. If later on you've got some questions about these pointers and why they're important to incorporate into the sleep diary, it's not an exhaustive list. Okay, there are many other things that can affect your sleep as well. Okay, but these are just some key ones to look out for, because then you can start to identify some key points, okay, when it comes to going through our day from there. All right, we start to go through each day without really thinking much, okay, and it just happens, and then we just know that, yeah, last night sleep wasn't good, don't really know what's the cause. You go through each night, just trial and error, okay, from there, and you want to try and identify some of these things. Okay, so that is the first activity that you can do for the next week or so, all right, and then you start to identify some stuff. Now we're going to move into the second activity. Okay, we're going to introduce a deep breathing exercise. Now you can use this simple activity anytime in the day, really. Okay, but what I would recommend is, for example, if you find that you might be starting to struggle a little bit to fall asleep, okay, what you can do, maybe because you're starting to worry about what's going to happen the next day, okay, maybe you just finished a very exciting episode of a drama and you say, okay, I have to be disciplined, I will save the next episode for tomorrow, okay, but you keep thinking of what's happening, right, in that particular episode you just watched, and you really want to watch the next one, but you want to force yourself not to, for example, okay, what you can do is focus on this deep breathing exercise. Okay, the technique that I will share, okay, it's quite popular. It's called the 4-7-8 technique. All right. The first number, which is 4, is the number, or rather the seconds. Okay, 4 seconds that you take to do your breathing in part of this exercise. Okay, so you take 4 seconds to inhale. Okay, once you've inhaled through your nose for 4 seconds already, you hold your breath for about 7 seconds. Okay, once you hold your breath for 7 seconds, you then exhale from your mouth for 8 seconds. Okay, now you say, well, Mason, 4, 7, 8, 7 seconds and 8 seconds feels quite long. Okay, can I try something lesser? Of course, you can. Okay, but the main focus is to really keep in mind the deep breathing part. Okay, what this does, this action, or rather this activity, it tells your brain, okay, to activate the rest and digest system, because never were you going to be in danger, you're going to start breathing very relaxed. Okay, only when you're about to sleep, when you're in a safe environment, you can take in deep breaths and really calm yourself down. Okay, so why not let's give it a try. Okay, we can do it twice, and you can join me. So you want to take a deep breath in through your nose for 4 seconds. Okay, hold it there for 7. All right, you can just focus on the breathing. You can close your eyes for this. Okay, and then slowly exhale through your mouth for 8 seconds. Okay, if 7 seconds is too long, like I've said, you can shorten it. What I really want to do is just focus on taking deep breaths in, so your belly starts to move. Okay, just relax. No need to show everybody your tummy, just hide your tummy, whatever. No, okay, just relax. Okay, take a deep breath in and just as relaxed as you can be, just focus, okay, on each breath that you are taking. Right, your mind might start to wander a little bit, you start to get nervous. Okay, don't worry. Just deep breaths in, hold it there, and then slowly exhale. All right. So you can do this a few times, okay? Even if through the day, if you're watching TV, if you're going on about your day, if you're doing some work, for example, you start to get a little bit stressed and tense, okay? This is something you can do to help calm yourself down. Okay, so you don't have to take too long, right? 3 to 5 minutes is all you need. It can help you just get ready, right, for the next part of your day as well. Okay, after your workout, if you want to do this first exercise as part of your cool down, okay, you can just start to focus on the deep breathing portion from there. All right. Now, I'm going to move into the next part where we talked a little bit about exercise. Okay, it's always a good sort of strategy and a tip to incorporate physical activity through the day, okay, that can help us get better sleep each night. All right, so there are a few things to take note of before you exercise. Before you sleep, you do not want to exercise too close to bedtime. Okay, and before every exercise that you do, if it's a workout, you want to make sure you have an appropriate warm up, okay, before your workout, and then a cool down. Okay, but what I'm going to introduce to you can be incorporated, okay, as part of a daily, just a simple daily activity that you can do that is not too high of an intensity. All right, we're going to go through some mobility stretches, 5 actually to be exact, okay, that I'm going to take you through. So if you can get off your seats, all right, you can join me as I take you through these 5 exercises from there. All right, just give me a bit of time to set up. All right, I'll just move the stuff accordingly. Okay, so many times we are seated in front of maybe our computers or our TVs for long hours in the day, right? And we start to forget to actually get up and move. And then we do actually eventually get up, we find that our muscles are quite stiff, the joints, and we start to get a bit clicky, okay, for sitting for too long. Now, what I want to do with you today is just 5 simple exercises starting to help mobilize, okay, these joints and muscles as well. All right, simple ones. We're going to start off with the first one is for the shoulders, a little bit on the chest. Okay, we call these the shoulder gaiters. So just do it for 30 seconds together with me. I'm going to demonstrate this to you. Okay, it's quite a simple activity. Just tap, okay, gently put the fingers behind your ears. Okay, Christabelle, you can join me if you want to as well. All right, you can have your elbows out, and then when you bring them in, just gently bring the elbows to meet each other from there. Okay, just continue your deep breathing, all right, as you're doing this exercise. So you get that stretch, okay, the side view. Okay, you're just gonna bring your elbows in. Right, gently go out. Okay, bring them in and out. You're gonna start them feeling stretching a little bit on the shoulders and chest. Okay, so you're just gonna get that movement in and out. Bring them in and out. Okay, if you feel that it's a little bit too tight to actually bring your elbows together, don't force them in. Just go with what you're comfortable with for a start. Okay, now next one is another stretch for the shoulders. Okay, and also a bit more on the rotator cuff, so somewhere around this area here, your shoulder blades. Okay, generally sit from there. Now, a simple one, just 3 alphabets to get us started. So I hope you remember these 3 alphabets, okay, apart from the ABCs, is the Y, T, and W. Okay, so the first one, if you're gonna go into a Y, you're gonna bring your arms up, okay? So they're in line with the side of your ears, so you're gonna show you from the side view. Okay, it's okay if you can't bring your arms direct. It's probably here you get a bit stiffer shoulder joints. Okay, you stuck here, that's fine, don't force yourself through. All right, that's the first alphabet. Bring them down, open up to form a T. Okay, hold that stretch. Okay, and then the last one is a W from there. Okay, I just felt my shoulder crack a little bit. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna show you side view. All right, we're gonna go back to the Y. Okay, down. You're gonna go with the T. Now, if you can stretch out, you can go a bit further back. Okay, and then W there. All right, last one, Y, Okay. T and W from there. Okay, third exercise is a very simple upper back stretch. Okay, some of you might be familiar with this one from there. Okay, left and right, you can do that as well. What I'm going to show you, if you can, and you have a stable chair, okay, try not to use those computer chairs because they start to roll as you're doing this exercise. So get a very stable chair that is quite stationary. All right, good height as well. If you can't, you can go against the wall as well. Okay, what you want to do, all right, I'm going to show you here, is you can hold this stretch. So just rest your arms here, okay, and as you fall, lean your body forward and just let it fall around this area here. Okay, you're going to start to feel that stretch in the upper back. I certainly feel mine, okay, because I've been seated for quite a while as well. Okay, so then get this stretch in. Try not to force, okay, your body down if you find it that it's quite tight from there. So what Christabelle is also showing is a different way. Okay, arms interlock. Okay, she pulls herself forward to get that stretch in the upper back from there. Okay, with every stretch, please remember, okay, not to force anything too quickly, especially if you've not been moving for quite a while and you suddenly jump straight into an action. Okay, you're probably going to get an injury. There's a very high chance of that happening. Okay, so slowly ease yourself into that stretch. So I'm just going to do that upper back stretch once more with this stool. Okay, and you can just hold it there and just make sure you continue with your deep breathing. All right, don't hold your breath any point in time during the stretches from there. Okay, so just ease into it, all right, and relax. Okay, so that is a third exercise, the upper back stretch. Okay, the next one is going to be a little bit more, slightly more challenging, okay, compared to the simple Gaiters, YTW, and upper back, is the 4-point squat. All right, so very simply, I'm just going to show you from here how you're going to do it. Okay, if you can, you're going to reach for your toes. It's just the first point. Second point, I'll show you as we go through the there, then third and fourth. If you can't reach your toes, that's okay. You can go for the shins or the ding. You can try not, remember again, don't force it. If you've got tight hamstrings, you don't want to overstretch from there. So the first one, you're going to just gently inch yourself forward to reach for your toes. Okay, if you've got them, you're going to go then into a squat. Okay, so once you're in this position, what you're going to do is bring your arms up and then you're going to stand up slowly from there. Okay, I'll show it onto you on the side view. So you're going to gently just inch forward, reach for the toes. This is the first point. Second point, you're going to go into a squat. Okay, third point, arms up. And fourth, you go into a stand there. I'm just going to do 2 more. Okay, so reach for your toes again. Feel that stretch in the hamstrings. Go down into a squat. All right, arms up, and then you stand up from there. Okay, last one. All right, gonna reach down, up, and up from there. All right, so last one is a reverse lunge. So this will test you a little bit on the balance. Okay, now if you can't do a reverse lunge, you're more comfortable with the forward lunge. I'll just show you these 2 variations from there. Okay, you're gonna stand slightly wider than shoulder width if you can. Okay, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a step back with 1 foot. So I'm gonna go and start with my right foot, and I'm gonna take a step back and lower myself at the same time. Okay, and I come back up, and I switch over to my left foot from there. Okay, I'm just gonna hold this position for a bit. I wanna try and keep a 90-degree angle for both front and back knee. Okay, what we tend to do is sometimes we may go too far out and we just do this, okay, and we are not actually activating the right muscles that we want to try and work during this reverse lunge. Okay, so measure out the steps. Okay, get a good sort of approximate. Okay, don't take a step that's too far apart, okay, or too close where you can't even go into a squat from there. Okay, just go a few together. Okay, a reverse lunge. Okay, and you're gonna go across as well. Now, if you say, hey, I want to do something a little bit more, okay, what you can do is incorporate a stretch, all right, after each lunge. So if I take a step back with my right foot, I can then put my arm up and across, okay? So the foot that goes behind the same side, the arm goes up. So left goes back, left arm goes across. You're gonna stretch a little bit on the hip flexors also. Okay, you can go across from there. Just one last one. Okay, and across. All right. Okay, hopefully these are some simple exercises that you can do. Okay, like Christabelle mentioned, you want to incorporate this throughout the day. So you don't have to only say, only at 6 p.m. today, then I'm going to do this set of exercises. But if you are seated down watching your shows, be it lunchtime, before dinner, whatsoever, this can be one idea for you to get a bit more movement through the day. Now, we don't have to say, if you want to start exercising, you must always clock in half an hour worth on exercise. It's not like a show that you have to clock 1 hour to be an episode. Okay, even 5 to 10 minutes can be very useful to help get some movement in. So if you're thinking, hey, I've not been exercising for a very long time or moving much, you can start off with these simple ones first. Even if out of the 5, you find that maybe the last 2 are more challenging, you're not ready to attempt them yet, you can just focus on the first 3, okay? Then once you get more comfortable, you can build up a little bit more, and then you can incorporate more things and exercises as you go along the way once you feel more confident. So it doesn't matter where you start. The main point is you try to do a little bit first to get used to it. And that's the key thing that I want you to take off from there. Okay, so just to do a quick summary of my portion here, okay, we've done a sleep diary. Okay, you want to start tracking that as you can through the day. Just ask yourself the same questions. Be honest with yourself, okay, whether or not you can track back to some of these barriers would quite be important for you to look at by being honest to remember as much as possible. Okay, and then the next one is breathing exercise, a deep breathing exercise. You want to incorporate them anytime in the day, really can help you feel less stressed. All right, and then can also potentially help you fall asleep a little bit better as well. And then the last one, of course, we just finished the mobility exercises. So hopefully these things will help you reduce any muscle tightness and improve some mobility through your joints as well. All right, so I'm going to hand the time back to Christabelle, who will take over the next segment, and I'll see you in a bit for the Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Mason, for helping us to better understand what actually maybe are possible factors that affect our sleep, and as well as teaching us some exercises through breathing, through stretching that can help to improve our sleep quality. I think now it's time to hear from our audience, and we'd like to hear what questions or what are your thoughts. If you have anything to clarify from all those information that you have received from us, now's the chance, okay? You can take a minute, give a thought through all the things that you have heard from us, and type it in the question, type a question in the Facebook comment, okay? And then we will hope to answer every single one of them if time allows us to, okay? So just take a minute, think through. You want to share the comments also what your takeaways are from this session, please do so. And we will answer the questions shortly, okay? And while we wait for questions to come in, maybe I'll just pose a question to Mason, who has taught us the stretches just now, right? So maybe just be curious, personally, do you also go through these stretches before you sleep, or do you do other things that help you to prepare your body for nighttime rest?
Yeah, so for myself, the stretches come in, especially if I've seated for quite a while through the day. So not just specifically to before bedtime. If I've sat down for a long meeting, okay, I'll try and squeeze in a quick stretch, okay, to just get some movement in. Now, in times where, in rather breaks, I don't do any stretches, I might just get out to just walk a little bit around the house to get some water from there. Okay, so that's my physical activity in the house, okay? And before bedtime, what I tend to do is try to avoid my phone. I know it's very difficult for a lot of us, especially with how intertwined our whole life is with our phone, right? Your diary is inside, you set your alarm clock, you maybe text your friends and family all through one device, okay? But I try to put it aside and try to read a book before I go to sleep. Okay, so I tend to avoid any news before I go to bed because news always gets me maybe a bit more stressed out, a bit more nervous, and that's not a good way to get ready for sleep. So usually I'll pick a book that I enjoy, something that doesn't make me think too much. Okay, if it's a very thought-provoking kind of book, it will probably make me stay up a lot later. Okay, so something simple, I'll read a hard copy book and then spend some time to then go to sleep. Okay, now the thing I want to also remember is we don't have to focus and say if you cater, 15 minutes for reading and you must sleep after 15 minutes, right? You want to go to bed when you feel tired so you don't struggle or take too long to actually fall asleep. So that process is a little bit easier from there. All right.
Okay, so looks like, from your sharing, self-awareness is very important, which is one of the purpose of why you do that sleep diary, and you know what affects your sleep or what puts you in a better place to sleep, and then you have disciplined yourself to put in that routine for yourself. Okay, I see some questions coming in, so let's get to them. The very first one, it's a very big question. It says, how does light affect my sleep? Maybe before I pass the time to Mason, I can share a bit more the bigger concepts first, and then after that, Mason can give us more details and more specific guidelines, right? So how does light affect our sleep? Okay, so our bodies have, we call it specialized cells in our retina, okay, in our eyes, that absorbs light, which sends information to our brain to tell whether it is daytime or nighttime. All right, just like or maybe just animals, right? In the dark, it tells them that it's nighttime. If it's in daytime, there's light, it is day. If there's light, it is daytime. Right? So similarly to us as human beings, okay, light is a form of signal to our body clock. Okay, when light hits, it tells and triggers our body clock to get started, right? Get the our blood pressure up, our body temperature up, our stress hormone up to get our get up, fighting or fleeing, right? So that's our fight and flight hormone. But when nighttime or when the light diminishes and when it comes to nighttime, that again is a trigger to our brain that it is time to stimulate the production of sleep hormone called melatonin, right? And then that's how our body gets the trigger or signal to start preparing our bodies to sleep. So light is one of the main factors to look into when we want to when we want to improve our sleep quality, either the duration or the quality in itself. So maybe Mason can add on to that, to this question, how does light affect your sleep?
Sure. Yeah. So Christabelle did a great job in explaining how our body responds to light, okay, and also darkness. So in previous times, of course, when we don't have artificial lighting, right, we rely a lot on the sun, okay, to determine, or rather, it affects our body clock a lot more than we think it would. So there's this light that we talk about, right? Not just all lights, there are many different rays, okay, and wavelengths, but the key one we're looking at is, of course, blue light. Okay, so this is also available in our sunlight, okay, in high dosages. But with modern technology, we've got overhead LED lights that have a lot of blue light rays, okay, and also your devices, your laptops, okay, your phones, and all this. So if the phones are really quite close to you when you use them, okay, these are the blue light that is keeping you awake as well at night. So your receptors are still receiving these light sources, and it's still telling your brain, look, I think it's still daytime, you better just try and stay awake. And Christabelle mentioned melatonin is suppressed. So that is why she also introduced the whole idea of having a night shift mode. Okay, some I think have also tried on blue light glasses. I have not really used them myself personally, so I can't say for sure whether they are effective or not from there. But of course, I think there are plenty out in the market. So it may or may not work for you. I'm not too familiar at this point just yet, because I think there are many different ranges. So studies may not be able to test them all that's out there in the market. Okay, but of course, if you set, moving on to a slightly different topic as well, we talk about light. We say we reduce screen time from our phones. Okay, but what's also very important is sleep procrastination, right? It may not be the light that is having the most impact keeping us up. It may be chasing the next episode, okay, of your shows on your phone that's keeping you awake longer than you should from there as well. Okay.
Thank you, Mason. Okay, we got this question. I have only 5 hours of sleep. Is that enough? So this one, I think, because the recommendation that I shared was 7 to 8, even for older adults, age 65 and above. So if someone tells you that they only have 5 hours of sleep each night, what will be your comments to this statement?
Okay, so generally less than 7 hours would be too little. Okay, some maybe can scrape past about 6. Okay, but 5 really is quite little in terms of what we need. So generally 7 to 8 is still recommended. I don't know how old this individual is, okay, but as we go through the different sort of age categories across the lifespan, right, the body clock timing starts to shift a little bit more. So if I'm assuming this person, let's say, for example, is on the slightly older side, okay, because just naturally, not just that they only got 5 hours to sleep, okay, but it could be that they are tending to wake up a little bit earlier than they would like from there, or they're going to bed a little bit later as well. So try and work out what suits you. If you find that, okay, you wake up quite naturally at a certain time that's quite early, right, you can potentially try to go to bed a little bit earlier each night so they can still try to work the clock backwards to then get earlier sleep so they can potentially get more than your 5 hours. Because sometimes I've had individuals tell me, say, after 5 hours when I wake up naturally, I feel very alert. Okay, but it's because your body clock is geared into action at 5 a.m. to kickstart the day. But then when your day, you start to feel a lot more tired earlier into the evenings than before from there. So these are just some assumptions that I'm taking. I can't really tell how old this individual is from there. So hopefully that helps clear some doubts about the hours of sleep that we can get from there.
Yeah, so just now when we said the guideline is really for general, it's a general guideline, right? So different people may have different needs, and really depends what you do in the day that causes or leads you to only having 5 hours. But I think the question that Mason went through just now during sleep diary was also important, right? How do you feel when you wake up the next morning? Do you feel like, do you need more, or actually maybe 5 is enough for you? And there's no like magic number for you to, and you really need to get 7 to 8, but really what is your own needs, right? In terms of the hours of sleep. Okay, so let's go to question 3 is about the caffeine, right? So why does caffeine not affect my sleep? Okay, I think this is a lot of like our uncle, auntie, they think like I'm always drinking coffee, how many cups a day, but caffeine don't affect me. Is there any, I think I mentioned there are other mechanisms that drive you to sleep. Maybe Mason like to share a bit on that.
Yeah, so caffeine is one thing. Of course, it helps to sort of trick the brain into not receiving this chemical compound called adenosine. So this is just this compound that starts to accumulate the longer we are awake. Okay, so it starts to increase and increase and increase the longer we are awake. But when we do consume caffeine, so maybe about 20, 30 minutes after your cup of coffee, you feel that hit of energy or suddenly that wave of tiredness has gone away. Okay, so what happens is that actually your brain does not receive the adenosine part. Okay, it starts to receive this caffeine intake. So actually, it doesn't really give you energy. It just tricks your brain in that sense. That's that one part from it. Over time, if your reliance on caffeine is quite strong, because maybe you say after getting this sleep at night, okay, you think, oh, that's okay. You start to consume more caffeine to get through the day. All right, and then because it's just been a routine and a habit, a lot of the older folks, they tend to drink a little bit more caffeinated drinks. The sensitivity towards caffeine starts to drop as well. So instead of 2 cups to give you the energy, for example, they may take 3. Even in the younger folks who are working adults as well, because they go for meetings, they're staying up late, or they want to go do their workouts, they tend to consume more caffeine through the day to feel normal, to feel like they can function. So over time, this sensitivity towards caffeine can reduce. Okay, and potentially when you do drink it, you feel that it doesn't really affect my sleep. But potentially the sleep quality can be affected in the sense that it's more fragmented. You may have more times where you are maybe spending in lighter sleep stages, or you do wake up in the middle of the night, but you're not really aware that you are awake as well from there. Okay, of course, your body clock, right, it goes through certain cycles. So through the night, the urge to sleep also starts to increase from there. So there are many mechanisms that come into play, like Christabelle has mentioned. Okay, so there's not one rule that says, oh, caffeine, if you eliminate it, you will fall asleep straight away. Okay, or if you reduce the super dark room, you will get the best sleep and the entire time of your life from there as well. So these are some things to take note of as you go through the day from there. Okay.
Okay. So I mean, if caffeine doesn't affect you, maybe it's quite it's quite scary. So it kind of shows that you're probably tolerant to caffeine. And also, like we mentioned, it's different mechanisms, right? So if we can, let's say there are 3 mechanisms to help you to sleep. If caffeine is out, only 2 mechanisms kind of driving you to sleep, right? So if we can help and remove that caffeine, you can get all the processes to encourage sleep. I think you already promote better sleep. The 4th question, for the breathing exercise, can we breathe out through our nose? Is it okay? This one just yes or no? Yes
yeah,
or no?
I think it's completely fine. Whichever you're comfortable with. I don't think you want to stress too much about the breathing exercise. Same thing when it comes to sleep. Okay, the more you think about it, the harder it is to fall asleep. It's actually quite an opposite from there. So for the breathing exercise, what you want to do is just be comfortable, okay, with the technique. Some may say, maybe I do yoga and it always says through the nose. Then that's fine. If you're comfortable with that, you can go for it as well. Okay, so yeah, no problem breathing out through the nose.
Yep. So just do what works for you, right? So when you're giving general guidelines, it may not work for you, might just tweak accordingly. Question 5, does it matter what time we sleep as long as we have 7 to 8 hours or even sleeping very late at night? Well, it depends, right? So I'm not sure about your schedule. If let's say you are a shift worker and your body clock has been shifted to the other way around, you sleep in the day, you work at night, and you're able to go through that routine well. And again, you answer those questions. When I wake up, I feel refreshed, I get good quality sleep. I think that works for you. But if you're not in that case, when you're supposed to be sleeping at night, but you're not, maybe other things may be compromised. I'm not sure. Is there anything else to add for that reason?
Yeah, so going to bed it matters because you're trying to keep to a schedule. So I think one of the habits was to go to bed at the same time and wake up same time, including weekends, given about I think a 1 hour difference. So the body craves routine. So if there's a certain time that you go to sleep and wake up, you try to keep it across the 7 days, and that will actually help you get better sleep compared to just having it all over the place in terms of weekdays and weekends. Yeah.
Okay, now that we have like 4 questions all on like exercise, because I think we showed some exercises. So question 6, if I can't do squat, okay, like maybe seniors can't do squats, it's not safe, are there any alternatives? Or maybe you can just show a regression of just now that exercise.
Yeah, so if you can't do a 4-point squat and you find that maybe that those 4 different parts can be too difficult to do, a simple one is just a sit to stand on a stable chair. Okay, so that just removes a lot of the different overhead movements since you've already got those in the earlier exercises. So I'll just take a chair over here. Okay, what you want to do is sit down, stable, okay, and then you can put the arms across and just stand up from there. Just pace yourself slowly and you just go from there. So the height of the chair matters. If you find that it's too low and you struggle to get up, you can just elevate the chair a little bit more in terms of just getting this squat movement in if you find it quite hard to balance. Yep.
I see a few questions all talking about because a lot of the knee issue, right? So actually the answer, okay, some questions, will reverse lunge add impact to my knees, or can someone with knee surgery before do all these exercises? I think the answer is always you can do all kinds of exercises as long as you don't feel pain and you don't feel discomfort, right? And technique is the most important, right? So if you see Mason when he did the squat or he did the reverse lunge, I think one thing the most important is always keep your back straight, right? So you don't lean forward. That's where you're going to add pressure to your knees. Or I don't know, if you lean back, okay, then that's again going to add pressure there. But if you're going to do a reverse lunge like this, draw a straight line down from the head, shoulder, hips, and knees. Right one straight down here. You shouldn't feel any pain and discomfort. This is the right technique. Even when we do that squat, when Mason showed just now, when he stood up from the chair, he doesn't. Okay, now I know nowadays people can't. I see my grandma always put her hand here before she gets up, right? And then that's how you're gonna place a lot of weight on the knee. But if you're gonna put your hand, maybe Mason can show us. You put your hand on your shoulders.
Across your shoulders.
Here.
Okay, so you can go from there. Some just go up from there gently. Okay. So really, if you have like knee replacements before and all that, just make sure that you have gone through your exercises with your physiotherapist first, okay? Because those exercises are meant to help strengthen and target those areas that are very important. Okay, so once you get the all clear from them, then you start to move on to these exercises that you can do on your own. So always make sure there's no pain when you're doing exercises. You want to feel better after a workout than feel worse or get any injuries from there. Okay, yep. So just key points, don't push yourself too hard when you're doing these exercises.
The other thing we'll add is probably if you need support, use the support, right? Because we're not using any support here. We're just using our body weight. If you need the chair, hold the chair to do your lunge or your squat, please do so before you slowly progress. Once you gain the strength, you gain the balance to do the normal form. Okay? So I hope that answers a lot of those exercise questions. There's one, what causes leg cramps and any remedies?
Leg cramps. Depends on when you get them. Okay, if it's during exercise, for example, sometimes it could be the lack of your electrolytes when it comes to it as well. Okay, quite a few factors that come into play. They can't really pinpoint into just the one. Okay, sometimes it can be overly used. The muscles are quite tight as well. Potentially can cause some form of cramping from there. So if it's something that you don't really know, it's not during exercise, it just comes on as and when, it might be good or worth to just check in with a doctor as well. Okay, just to make sure that everything's okay so that it can actually help you diagnose the issue better from there.
Sometimes, I mean, maybe we're talking about sleep. Some people do have leg cramps when they're sleeping, right? So,
yeah. It could potentially, I don't know, I've heard of some who say maybe it's because of like, it's a bit too cold, because they get a bit too cold, the muscles start to tighten up from there. That could be a potential reason. But yeah, those seem to be a little bit common in some of the people I've spoken to from there. But I can't diagnose anything because I don't really know when do these occur and what the root causes for the individual as well.
But one thing we can maybe recommend is try those maybe exercises that we did, the mobility one, because it also improves your circulation, and that maybe may help, right, to reduce the cramps. Or if you know if it's cold, then maybe you have to put on some thin socks when you sleep. Yeah, or it really depends what the cause first, then we can suggest what the solution is. Okay. One exercise, just now you recommended every exercise 30 seconds. How many times should we do? How many times of that 30 seconds should we do? Do you have any recommendation?
Okay, it really depends on yourself. If you're feeling a bit more up for it, okay, you can go for maybe 2 to 3 sets from there. I don't want to say everybody must do 3 sets, and then some who can't do the 3 sets might feel quite scared. Say, oh no, I've not completed all sets. Is that going to be a problem? Okay, so go with what you can do. 2 to 3 sets generally is quite a good amount to start off with. Okay, and it also depends on the time that you have to carry out these exercises. Okay, so if you can do it during your break time and all you have is just a short amount, then you can do maybe 1 set or 2 sets from there. Every little bit counts as you do these exercises throughout the day.
Okay. So the next question, breathing tactic, can we do it on the bed? Yep, like I think our answer to all the breathing question is do what puts you in a place that reduces stress and makes you more calm, right? So if sitting up and counting the beats stresses you out, then do it lying down or not counting, just going with the flow, going with your breath. All these are just like guidelines, but you have to find what really works for you. Okay. Next question, I think I kind of answered. Is 5 hours of sleep enough? Body doesn't take more hours to sleep. So like we said, the recommendation is 7 to 8 for older adults. If let's say we're not asking you to force yourself to sleep more, but ask yourself, do you actually need? Maybe can you do more? Will you actually be more productive maybe in the day when you have more hours? And sometimes the body can't take more is maybe because you're not tired enough. That's why 5 hours is enough to recharge you, right? So the more tired you are or more stress you have in your body, the more you need to sleep, right? So maybe it could be doing more physical activity throughout the day, tire yourself out here and there so that your body needs to take in more than 5 hours. That's just maybe one tip here. Anything else to add, Mason?
No, I think you've got the key points in. So really it's just exercise is a good way to help some individuals increase deep sleep as well, because it tires you out. So we find that with seniors, the amount of deep sleep that they are getting is a lot lesser compared to when they were younger. Okay, but exercise potentially, along with other benefits to reduce the risk of chronic diseases, can also help to increase the amount of deep sleep that you can get through the night as well.
Yeah, just make sure, I mean, if you're going to exercise, what Mason earlier said is try not to do any high intensity exercises. Okay, if you're going to do something light, and calming, yep, you can do that before sleep. If not, try to avoid maybe 2 hours before bedtime, any kind of a strenuous activity, okay? And I think this could be the last question. I cannot sleep through, more questions. I cannot sleep through the night. I wake up maybe 2 to 3 times. How to stop this? Okay, I will go on with the next question as well. I wake up in the middle of my sleep, find it difficult to get back to sleep. Okay, for example, I sleep at 10, I wake up at 3. Any solution to stop this? Or maybe even I will add on is how will you manage if you face that situation?
So if you're waking up multiple times at night, you need to identify what the cause is. If it's to go to the toilet, for example, then it could be reducing your fluid intake before you go to sleep. So maybe 2 hours before, you try to avoid drinking too much water, okay, or caffeine, or even soup, or too much if you have late dinners, for example, right? These are some ways to help you reduce. And then you go to the toilet before you actually go to bed. So empty your bladder, okay? It's one more practical way to help prevent the number of times you wake up. So some individuals after that, they say, I only wake up maybe once now instead of 2 to 3 times in a day. Okay, then if you struggle to actually fall back asleep, it could be that because the body has removed some adenosine that makes you feel tired because within the few hours you've gone to sleep. What you can do if you still struggle to fall asleep, like I mentioned earlier, is to go to a different place apart from your bed, okay, and try and do a relaxing activity. Right? It could be listening to music that's relaxed, or you can be doing some simple breathing exercises once again, right, to help you get back into the mood of wanting to go to sleep from there. Most important thing, don't stress about not being able to sleep, because the more you stress about it, the harder it is to actually fall back asleep. So hopefully these are some strategies that can help if you do wake up at night, or to prevent the number of times that you wake up per night as well.
So the most important thing we said, if you want to sleep, you need to be at rest and stress-free or calm, right? And so if let's say our brains always create mental association with the things that we do. So if you're tossing and turning in your bed more than 20 minutes, maybe you should, like what Mason said, get up, go to a new place, because you don't want your brain to associate the bed for tossing and turning, right? You want it to be a place that, you head to your bed, it's time just to trigger sleep to happen, okay? So, and then other than that, you need to know what affects you, and then try to work around it, okay? I think this question is very common. It's about naps, right? If I don't sleep enough at night, then can I nap in the day to replace the nighttime sleep? Is it good to have an hour of sleep in the afternoon?
Okay, so before we get into that, the key thing is you do not want to use naps to replace the sleep that you can actually get the night before. Because what happens if we say naps are good, then everybody says that I don't have to worry about sleeping enough at night, right? They start to reduce the amount of hours that they get. So you want to use naps as like a form of like supplements. If you cannot get good sleep at night, then the next day you can use naps to try and restore some form of recuperation. Okay. Now, if you do it in the afternoon, okay, try not to do it too late as well. Okay, and you go in for a shorter nap. I wouldn't recommend 1 hour, because that's right in the middle of a deep sleep, potentially deep sleep cycle from there. So when you do wake up, you might feel a lot more groggy than you were before you actually went to sleep. So maybe a 20 to 30 minutes nap might give you a bit of a better boost, okay, than a 1 hour nap, and try and do it earlier in the day than closer to the evenings, because that may affect the nighttime sleep that you will get from there. Yep. So hopefully that answers the part about napping. So use it wisely and not replace the nighttime sleep.
Yep. Remember, it's a supplement. So always have it only when you need it. It's not a privilege for you to nap every single day. Okay. Okay. How to prevent acid reflux during sleeping? Wow.
Ooh. Okay, so this one, it depends on a few things, right? If it's a medical condition, you probably have to check in with a medical professional to make sure that there's other things that affect your acid reflux. Some simple ones could be avoiding large meals before going to bed, right? Because sometimes we may have very, very late dinners, and especially spicy stuff or whatever, it gets quite hard to digest, and then we lie down straight away from there. So some individuals may experience the acid reflux, okay, when they have heavy meals, undigested, and try to lie down from there. But if it's a different condition, okay, that you know that it's not the late meals that are affecting you, then potentially check in with the doctor to make sure that that is sorted out professionally as well, so it doesn't affect too much of your sleep.
Okay. Wow, this question, do varicose veins cause cramps? If so, how to relax varicose veins? we need to seek a medical
Yeah.
consult as well on this.
Yeah, definitely. And it's quite hard for us to diagnose anything when it comes to varicose veins. So yeah.
All right. So unfortunately, we are not doctors here to help you with all that kind of medical issues. It would be best to go and seek your doctor advice on this. Okay. So what is half-life for caffeine? So I think just I mentioned about the half-life of caffeine is 6 hours, which means the time it takes for the amount to be reduced by half in your blood system. So for caffeine, if you take it at 2 p.m., 8 p.m., it will be half of what you just drank, right? And then later at 2 a.m., it will be 1/4 of what you just drank. So that's the very simple answer for what is half-life for caffeine. Different amounts, different substances have different half-life. But for caffeine, it kind of takes almost, you can say, one whole day to flush it out of our system. So if we mentioned just now, if you want to sleep, you want to put your bodies in a place of rest. You don't want to have a stimulant in your body still like running around your bloodstream, right? So that is why we always encourage you to maybe have your last cup around 2 or 3 p.m. if you can. Okay, always opt. There's many other options out there, caffeine-free tea that you can also enjoy. So, but end of the day, all this will only work for you if you prioritize sleep in the beginning. Okay, so we thank you so much, for joining us in today's session. I hope like everything that we have shared and the questions that you posted has been beneficial to you. If you found today's session useful, do like this video, share it with your family and your friends, so that they can also watch it and they can really pick up those useful tips at their own convenience and their own pace. Okay. If while listening to us and you are interested to find out more about active health and you're inspired, to start your journey to better health, right? Learning more about the different domains, physical activity, sleep, screen time, or even nutrition, do register for more of our e-workshops via the link that you see on the slide, or simply visit our website, www.activehealth.sg. Okay, so you can find e-workshop that will suit your needs right there. Otherwise, always remember, better beats perfect. Okay, so it's not about being perfect, like we said, not about achieving like 7-9 hours or like the recommendation we all shared with you. It's always about being better. Okay, remember the active health habit that I told you to choose just now. I hope you didn't forget about it. Try to apply it in your lifestyle in the next 24 hours and be better at it every single day. Okay, if you messed up one day, it's fine. Just keep going. Take small actions and you will slowly see that you go much closer to your health and fitness goals. All right, that's the end of today's session. We really thank you for your time and we encourage you to continue to stay active, stay safe, stay healthy. So goodbye.
Bye-bye.